Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Welcome to the Kingdom of the Moorlands, out in the sunshine. The sun is here at long last, although I'm sure we're probably not too far away from a rain shower. On a subject that is so close to my heart, and that is backpacks and rucksacks. Being a proud Briton, it's always a high point to be able to show off packs that are from here, from the UK. This is from a Scottish company called Highlander Forces, and this is the Fhior. I hope I'm saying that right. This is the Fhior 40. There are actually two versions of this, which, I mean, this is the larger version. This is the 40 litre. There is also a 30 litre, so I'll touch on some of the differences between the two today. However, apart from one subtle difference between the two, they're very similar packs. So if you're looking hopefully between the two of them, this will be the larger version of the two, so you can kind of scale that down by 10 litres if you're looking at the smaller one. Now, a little bit about Highlander. Highlander have been making bags and constructing bags for outdoor use and even for the military. This is their forces side of their company. For over 40 years now, and it's one of the reasons why they've become one of the most respected backpack, rucksack, outdoor gear companies here in the UK. So yeah, definitely a proud moment to be able to show off this pack. Now there's a lot to talk about, so let's turn the camera around and take a closer look. As we usually do, we'll look at some measurements, some materials, and then we'll get into some of the features on this. Now this is a very feature-rich backpack. There's certainly a lot that you can do with this. You can scale it up, you can scale it down. Yeah, but with there being 40 litres with this, it certainly does mean that you can carry a lot more, well, roughly 10 litres more than you could do if you purchased a 30 litre one. So as far as the measurements are concerned, it comes in at 63 centimetres by 31 centimetres across the front by 26 centimetres deep. That is your full 40 litres all throughout here. Now when it's empty and there's nothing in this, as far as the weight is concerned, this is just about a kilo. The material that this is made from, so this is a 600, get this right, XTS material, which is very tough, very similar to Cordura, like a lot of other packs that are out there, designed to make sure that it's as tough as possible. Some people might be going, well, I wish it was 1000D, well, that'd just be heavy, because it's a large pack. So moving it down, some companies will go for 700, some companies go for 500, they've gone for 600 with this, so it's just an extra little bit more tougher, extra little bit more abrasion resistant than you would get, say, with a 500, but just maybe ever so slightly heavier. But then again, it's only 1,000 grams or 1 kilo. As far as the colours of this is concerned, this comes in 4 flat colours. There's a black, there's a tan, there's green, and there is also a grey version. That was the version I forgot there. The version that we have here, hopefully as you can see, this is the green version. I tend to go for green and black, blues, my favourite colours, but generally being out walking like this. I have got this dirty whilst I was testing this. I went out into the moors, absolutely fell over like a prize turkey, landed on my back, so there's a bit of dirt on the front of this. However, for me personally, I find that green helps when you fall over and it doesn't look as dirty. It does have a DWR coating on this as well. If you do get it dirty, well, actually I didn't wet this, I just waited for the dirt to dry, and then with like a clothes brush just scrubbed it, came off fine. But if you are concerned about stuff getting wet inside, the DWR coating will keep things dry to a certain degree. It doesn't have taped seams, it also doesn't have AquaGuard zips. So if you need to stay drier until you get to a point where you can find some shelter, then that's great. Or if you have one of those rain covers for something like this, then a rain cover would work perfectly as well, and you'd be able to cover this to yeah, keep it extra nice and dry. All the zips on here, I hadn't actually checked, you know, I should check. I'm sure it says on here, so yes, they are YKK zips, and all of the buckles are Duraflex, or are they Woojin? I think they're Woojin, let's check. This is taking too long for me to check. I tell you what, I'll leave it down in the footnotes below here on what they are. Where's that strap gone? It's here. All of the webbing on here is really nice mil-spec webbing. There's a bit of a difference. We've got a few different types of webbing. There is the normal kind of 1-inch webbing, and then here on the side they use this 10mm webbing instead, which again is just a nice mix-up, which will also help to reduce some of the weight on here as well. Starting at the bottom, working our way up. If I flip this over like here, the bottom itself doesn't have any cinching points. There are no points on here that you can attach a bedroll or anything like that to it, which is a shame. I think if there was anything that I would change about this, purely from the feedback and people asking for this sort of stuff, just maybe putting a few of these 10mm webbing loops here on the bottom, so that there's a bit of modularity on here for bed rolls, for small tents, that sort of stuff. I'd probably add that to the bottom here. For some of you it might not be an issue, but for some I think it's a feature that you'd like. But yes, no one's on the bottom. Now I can say though that without those on the bottom, it does stand up perfectly. You have to just make sure that you get the balance right, but it will stand up by itself. On to the sides. Now there are two large pockets on the side here, which uses this really nice four-way stretch material, which is very tough. And to add to that, there's also an additional reinforced elastic section here at the top. On the right hand side here, I have a 1 litre Nalgene bottle, which fits in, no issues whatsoever. I think if you've got one of those standard, what do they call them, the standard GI canteens, that's going to fit in there, no issues whatsoever. These things really are massive. On the opposite side here, I've got a kneeling mat and this extra little bit of leather that I carry around, but that fits in there perfectly as well. Moving up from there, so if you did want to put something into here, if you have a camp axe or anything like that, then you can put that in, and then you have these 10mm, I think it's 10mm, it looks like 10mm, webbing sections here at the top. So you've got 1, 2, 3 rows, and there are 3 columns on each, so you can add additional pouches to the side here. There is also this extra little bit of webbing here on the side, and what this does is, where you have this compression strap here that goes across the top side, that actually passes through here, and then the compression strap is stitched into the line or this seam here on the side. It does have 2 compression straps. The first one, or I suppose at least the one at the top, is here, and the second one, which holds in this belly section here, is just across the front, and that attaches at the front here where this seam is over on this pocket. So rather than being one of those compression straps that is on this back seam that goes across here, it does mean that you don't have to keep unfastening your compression strap to get this out. If it is that you like to carry poles or a stick or an axe or whatever it is that you've got on this side, that does then mean that this doesn't hold on to the bottom there. Again, it's not a positive or negative, it's just more of an observation. However, once you've got those into here, this is very deep. This is a good maybe 10 inches deep. So once it's in there, you can then cinch whatever you have down with these webbing straps here at the top, and I don't think you're going to have any issues whatsoever. Getting back onto the front, well actually I suppose the front, but here down on the bottom. So what we have, fairly typical for a 40-litre pack like this, is you have a separate compartment here down at the bottom. I will say the pull cords on the zippers on this, I think they're all like this. In fact, all of the exterior pull cords have these pull cords that you can get your finger into. Let's face it, especially in the winter when you've got cold hands, the feeling in your fingers, or if you're wearing gloves, sometimes they can be hard, but you can get your finger into this. You can pull these open. The zips on here, super nice and smooth, this is for another piece of content that I'm making today. But you have this compartmentalized section here at the bottom. It's not separate to the top though. Actually, let's take a step back. It is separate to the top, so you have a drawstring similar to like a snow skirt here on the inside. If you wanted to, if you knew that you weren't going to have any wet weather gear, then you can open this up and you can get into the bag so that you can use the full 40 litres. I think that's one of the differences. I'll put this down for a second. This is one of the differences between the 40 litre and the 30 litre. So the 30 litre doesn't have your wet weather compartment on the bottom here, whereas the 40 litre, I mean this is just a pure guess, but what I'd probably say is, here is your 30 litres, here is your extra 10 litres here at the bottom where you can put that in. But as I say, if you want to use the full, instead of having 30 and 10, you can undo that skirt that's on the inside there and it will give you the full 40 litres of the kind of the barrel or the body of there. But nice if you do want to be able to separate gear. You could also put your, maybe if you've got some trainers or something like that that you wanted to keep in separate, so that you've got walking boots and then you've got maybe an approach shoe, then you could have those in there as well. So as previously mentioned, you have your compression strap here. You also have another compression strap here, and then in front of that, so if you can see here, there are two seams that run up here. This material on each side, this is that tough 600 XTS material, but then across here you have a panel that's made from the same stretch material here on the side, and you can actually get into this panel from the top. So at the moment I have a Warrior Assault Systems, I forget the name of this one. Anyway, one of their pouches, I think this is the medium pouch. That fits in, no issues whatsoever. My hand goes all the way in down to my wrist here, and so I know my span is exactly 9 inches, and it's 9 inches across. Great if you have, maybe if you're out walking, you have an IFAK, you have a medical kit that you want to keep in there, or maybe even you just want to keep some food in there that's great to get to, or you've got a jacket that you start off walking, it's reasonably cold, you want to take your jacket off, stuff it into there, and yeah, you're all good to go. Across the top here there is also some more webbing, which is the same 10mm webbing. So if you did want to maybe put some poles or something in there and you want to keep it so that it doesn't move around a lot, you can attach that to the top there as well. Now either side of here there are actually two zips. So there's one zip which goes from this seam here down to this seam here, which is where your wet weather compartment is, and then this one is exactly the same on this side. Now they have two ever so slightly different functions. The one that's here on my right hand side, as I look at this allows you to get into your pack. So if you know that there's something that's halfway down here, instead of having to take it all out, which is a pain in the arse, we've all done it, we've all gone, damn it, my compass is at the bottom. Okay, you've had to go take it all out. This just allows you to get in there. Is another jacket that I'm making some content on today. Get in there, get whatever it is that you need, and then you can close that up. The one on this side though, this one is actually a pocket. So this one will allow you into the main compartment, whereas this one, it doesn't. So this is a nice lined pocket. Maybe you've got some keys, maybe you've got a map, maybe you've got some gloves, something that you just want easy access to other than the pocket that's here on the front, which is actually really quite nice as well. But this one again, so this one goes from here to here, so roughly the same dimensions as we have on the front, but another nice useful pocket. Getting up onto the top here, to help with additional pockets, there is another pocket here that goes across the top. In here I have a sun hat, which I'm sure my wife will probably be telling me I should be wearing right now, and then I have a shemagh as well. I'm generally surprised just how large this section is. You sometimes find with bags like this that they just have a small pocket in there, but this one really is massive. In fact, again, I can get my hand in there. There's an extra 2 inches. Yeah, it really is quite big, but that opens out here into the top. Now, they're just your external pockets. The main bread and butter is this large air pocket. Now again, as I mentioned before, I think this is just a pure guess. I'm gonna guesstimate that this is roughly 10 litres and this is roughly 30 litres. So the 2 zips that are on here, they are at the top. You can open this and pull it down. Now, if you have the, in fact, let's close this. If you have this compression strap closed off here, you can pull this down and it will just open almost like a top loader, which is great. Again, you can get in, you can get whatever you need. You can then close that up and you're not going to have to worry about this whole thing splaying open. Now, I will say, the zippers on these are genuinely grease-lined, buttery smooth. If you have some weight in here and you have this open, they are that kind of slippery that it will just open. So as a bit of a tip, not that I learned this the hard way, but just make sure you have your compression strap closed if you want to open this up. Now when you open this up, on the inside here there is a mesh lined pocket similar to this one. However, this isn't as big. The pocket here on the outside, huge. This one is kind of your standard, probably 12 inches by about 6 inches. Great, again, just for putting a map, gloves, maybe some food, some snacks in there. Or if you've got some tools and you need to be able to see in it, having the mesh there is great. Now opening this up, once I've got this out of the way. Now I wouldn't say that this is a fairly typical EDC carry. There is another item that I am filming today. I have a shirt in there just in case it is cold, and I also have my Fhior PC18 plate carrier in here as well. So hey, if you'd like to see some content on the Fhior PC18 plate carrier, check out Highlander Tactical and the link above. So that's in there. Just to give you an idea of what you can fit, I've also got some more ammunition in there as well. And what else have I got? I've got some shocker cola and a little pouch. So there you go, not what you'd normally expect here on Highlander Tactical. Okay, let's get back to the main section. So the flap itself, when this comes down, is lined on the inside, which would make sense that it's lined, mainly because here, you have that pocket. So this is the back side of the pocket. You will notice a zip on this side, and the zip is this one on the outside, which allows you to get access into the main compartment. Here at the bottom, here is that compartmental skirt. So if I cinch this up now, that will stop anything in the main compartment being able to have access to whatever in that wet weather gear compartment at the bottom. All of the sides here fully lined, here again fully lined. I'm going to hazard a guess on this. It generally tends to be that kind of 210D liner. It feels like a lot of other manufacturers use. All of the stitching is immaculate. There's no loose ends, although there's some of that mud that I slipped in before. Yeah, no loose ends. And all of the stitching on the inside as well is also reinforced throughout. Now, I'm not just talking areas in which that are like high abrasion areas. Everything, and I mean everything in here, is fully reinforced on the stitching again, which is really nice. Now, as far as internal storage is concerned, it's just this main section. There are no additional kind of side pockets or anything like that in here. There is, across the top here, there is this little kind of admin section where you've got a few different pockets, a few different sleeves, and then you've got some bits that you can put pens and tools, stuff like that into. If you don't want to use that, you can just take it out. It all velcros in. at the top here you also have some hook and loop so that you can run a bladder through this. Now as far as your bladder is concerned, I think a 3 litre bladder is 3 litres? 3 litre must be the largest you can get. I'm sure you can probably get larger, but if you wanted to put a 3 litre bladder into this, no issues whatsoever. It's a 40 litre pack, you can fit a lot of water into this. And then you also have a small section here so that you can put that in there, or you can again kind of compartmentalize. I know I said there was no additional storage, but other than the kind of the water bladder section here. I actually took this to work. I couldn't get my 16-inch laptop in here. I could get my daughter's 15-inch laptop in here, so if you want to carry a laptop, you certainly can do. But I did take it to work because the 16-inch laptop just fit in. It's a 40 litre pack at the end of the day, so a 16-inch laptop should be able to fit. And it fit. I just had to put it against the back and then put my other stuff in there as well. Here at the top, hopefully as you would expect for a pack like this, it does have a frame sheet. Now the frame sheet itself is, well, it's about 5mm thick, and it's a very flexible frame sheet. It's not a Bergen as such with a rigid frame sheet in here, so there's a bit of flex to it. Again, 40 litres, you can carry a lot in here. It would be nice to have back support. However, when did I do it? There was a few weeks. It was the day that I fell over. I think I was carrying about 15 kilos ish. I actually took out some weights and put some weights into this just to make sure I could add some weight to it. Certainly didn't worry. Certainly didn't have any issues on my back whatsoever. But I guess if you wanted to, if you were that way inclined, you could probably take this frame sheet out and put a different frame sheet in there, but I certainly haven't had any issues with it. Now flipping this round, as my beautiful and very wise Nana, God bless her, used to say, the proof of the pudding is in the tasting, and any backpack 100% comes down to win or fail on its back and its straps. And I'm happy to say this does an exceptionally good job. Now I will say though, it's very basic. However, backpacks don't always have to reinvent the wheel when it comes to straps and its back panel, mainly because you have to look at, I mean, this is case in point, maybe Savota with some of their packs. They just have very basic backs, but they do it exceptionally well, and I would put this in the same category as that. So the back panel itself just uses 2 channels on here. The foam on here is reasonably soft, but it's also got just enough kind of squish or firmness to it so that when it's on your back, it sits either side of your spine and just fits perfectly. There is a little bit of a contour here as it comes down to the bottom, maybe here on the side if I can turn that, so it does kind of turn round, so it sits in the nape of your back and then goes round. But when you're walking with this, it certainly doesn't restrict any freedom of movement, and it just sits naturally into your back. What I did find when I first got it is, so here at the bottom, this was catching on my belt. So it's just at the right point that when I got it on, it was catching on my belt. It was just a bit fidgety, it was just a little bit annoying. But what I'd realized is that I needed to get the waist strap just that extra little bit higher, and I needed to lift it up that extra little bit more. So if you find that this does ride on your belt, just check where your straps are, and then you'll find once it's lifted up slightly, you don't have any issues whatsoever. That's what I realised. Bit of a noob thing to do, but you know, we moved past it. The easiest way to do that, one, is through the straps. The padding on here is probably about 10mm thick, which is just about right. Again, not too firm, not too soft, just right. Reasonably wide. Actually, no, I take that back. They're probably just about average as what you'd expect. But we also have, or however, we also have load adjusters here at the top, and it's the one thing that I'd forgotten that would help to lift this up. So when you pull down on these load adjusters, what they do is they pull the top of your pack closer into your shoulders, which affects the center of gravity on your pack, which actually is more advantageous to you. But what you can also do is pulling that up, it also lifts up the bottom, which is where I'd missed. The load adjusters on here are great. They've got a good pull on these, so rather than having to kind of fiddle to get them, you can get them so that they're on your shoulders and you can just pull them. Perfect. Coming down through here, there is some additional webbing on here. This is the webbing for the load adjusters here. You then have some D-rings in case you need to clip something onto this. The hydration holes, where's the hydration hole? The hydration hole is here in the middle, so as this comes through, you can run this through either side rather than being a lefty or a righty. It comes through the middle and then you can channel it where you need to. And then we have the sternum strap. No, you can't remove. I thought you could, you can't. So this is one of the ones, I mean you can, the way would be to pull it as hard as you can, but they're very difficult to get back on. But you have a sternum strap here on these sliders. Again, so one thing that I would possibly change is rather than using sliders, I'd probably go for more of a ladder system, because I know some people aren't happy that it can move up and down. For me, I find with a slider that if you get it in the wrong position, the way that you walk, it will then kind of automatically, or it will move back into the position that's best for your anatomy. But I think for popularity, people prefer it. But again, not a pro, not a con. It's just more of a observation is the word that I'm thinking of. Sorry, I've got salt in my eye because I'm sweating ever so slightly. Yes, so then coming down here, you've got your points in which you can either lengthen or shorten your straps, and again, this is where I just pulled down on these extra little bit more. It lifted the pack up and then allowed it to stop riding on my belt. Last but not least, coming down, you have a waist belt on here. The waist belt on here is nice. It doesn't come round as far as a lot of other waist belts do. However, it sits perfectly as long as you make sure that you get your length right, so it's lifted ever so slightly. But rather than sitting on your waist, this should sit that extra little bit higher on your love handles. And this does, it's just right for that. And then here on both sides, you have some pockets, so that again, you can put maybe a compass, you can put some sweets, you can put whatever you want into here. And then through the front, you have a 1-inch belt strap, which closes off on the waist. To finish off the deal. So there we have it. Now there is one thing usually that I tend to shy away from, and that's talking about costs. Mainly because, I mean, I've always just struggled talking about money. I'm a very humble guy like that. And everybody's budget is completely different. When it comes to this, so I'm sure I checked this morning, okay, so you put all of this together, the 40 years of experience that Highlander Forces that have, these are currently 20% off, and I think they're about $48.99 or $49.99, let's call it an even £50. For a pack that, if I compare this to other packs that I've tested out here on Moorland EDC, from other manufacturers would cost 3, 4, 5 times the amount of this. So it's very easy for me to recommend a pack like this. 1, because of the features that are in here. 2, because of the construction. 3, the history behind the company. 4, because at the end of the day, you know, I'm a Briton and I like to promote products here from Britain. This is a Scottish company. There's a lot going for this pack, and the value for money compared to some others, it's just crazy how they've been able to make this pack and still be able to make it and sell it on for a profit. So I definitely doff my cap to Highlander Forces for making a very technical pack like this, and also being able to make it exceptionally good value for money. Now, they have sent this to me. I do need to disclose at this point. However, with the relationship that I have developed with Highlander, if I didn't like this, I would say so. As you've seen today, there's a few things that I said I'd probably change. They're not things that would make me go, don't buy this. They're just little things that if they were to do a future iteration of this, I think would be great. But again, they're not pros or cons, they're just for me, and I know from feedback that I get from the channel. But also, if I didn't like this, I've spoken to them, and well, you wouldn't be seeing this content, put it that way. So I'd want to say a huge thank you to Highlander Forces for sending this to me. I certainly appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next year at IWA 2025. Now, I'll leave all of those links below so that you can see more from this, and you can see where you can pick one up from their website. That discount, I don't know if that is going to be a full-time thing. So at the time of filming, I think it was 20% off. They're usually $69.99, but they were $49, $48.99 at the time of filming. It's not an affiliate link. I'm not getting paid or anything like that to make this content. I'll also leave some of my social media links so you can see more from me here on Highlander EDC and my sister channel Highlander Tactical. Whether you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble, as always, stay safe, stay Highlander, and stay EDC. There's a cuckoo. Actually, there's two cuckoos. I can hear one over there and I can hear one over there. I don't know if they're talking to each other or if they're having some sort of cuckoo standoff. I don't know if you can hear them. Hope you can hear them. He's stopped now. His mate over there's now started. Guessing they're male cuckoos? Is it cuckoo rutting season? Who knows? Anyway, where were we? He started again. A cabbage patch white, is it cabbage white? Cabbage patch. Cabbage white, beautiful butterfly. Yeah, it distracted me then for a second. I'm easily distracted. I could self-diagnose myself with ADHD. I know there's probably people that do have ADHD, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't. They just get distracted easily. If you have ADHD, good on you. If you pretend to have ADHD, 2023 has taught me that as long as you identify that way, then that's fine. Certainly not a problem. I probably won't put this in the bloopers because people will complain. Anyway, who cares? Right, I think this is going out on the Wednesday. I think it's going out on the Wednesday. Anyway, either way, hope you all have a great hump day. See you soon. Love you lots. Ciao for now.